my tongue. There's a sarcasm waiting for you. I'm willing to trade my soul for a bit of your charm. There's no way I'll fade into oblivion, 'cause I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again.
We just got back from...
Okay, it looks like we brought the wind back from the windy city, apparently, because it's so windy today, and I'm sorry about the noise. So if you follow the community page or my social media or whatever, you might have seen that we just came back from Chicago, where we traveled with 2 rescue dogs that were adopted there. And it was all so exciting. I hadn't announced anything to anyone before traveling because I was very, 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 very anxious. And when it comes to adoptions, I also become superstitious, which I'm not really, but that was different. So I normally don't do this, but it was blah, blah. I'd like to tell you a bit about the trip, and of course there will be separate videos about the individual stories of the dogs. I never thought I would be traveling with a rescue dog to the United States. I always wanted to travel to the United States regardless of the dogs. It all started when George Zaharov actually was, he's Greek American, he was here in Greece. I got a text one night, it was May, I think, mid-May, late at night, and he was like, oh my God, Valia, I'm right here in Peloponnesus. So that night, George brought home George, as we ended up naming him. So George Zaharov is George Sr. and George the dog is George Jr.
We named him George
Jr.
Yes.
I have to tell you something.
Okay.
All the people that I met today were named George. I met 5 Georges today. From the doorman to my cousin.
And where are you staying?
At the
The
King.
George.
So it's not just named after me, it's all the Georges the universe spoke to.
All the Georges.
All the Georges.
The George Union.
Peace.
He was my foster dog for a few months. He had leishmaniasis, he had his treatment. He was an excellent, amazing dog, like all the dogs that we pick from the streets. And of course, George did his best to find him a home, and a couple of his friends actually asked to adopt him, and we have been talking with Bryant and Kim for months now about George, about the adoption, about everything, about his medical issues. They've been very, very, very supportive, and we have been looking into the best way to have George travel from here to Chicago, where they live. Now, apart from George, for some weird reason, the one and only rescue dog that was adopted through me in the United States also lives in Chicago. Her name is Daphne. You might have seen, there's a video about her in the channel. Joya was following the channel and she felt a connection with Greece. She wanted to help a Greek stray, so she actually flew last year from Chicago to Athens to adopt Daphne and go back with her. And I wasn't here when she came. I was in Britain for about 3 months last year, so we never really met, but we've been talking a lot. We have had a very, very good relationship, and I always wanted to really meet her. So of course I told her that, you know, I was going to Chicago with a dog and that I was going to visit her. And as it turned out, Joya had been planning, and that's true, she had been planning to rescue another dog from the same shelter. And since I was going and since I could take a second dog with me, we have been talking and looking into which dog would be the perfect fit for Daphne that she has already adopted. So we talked a lot with the shelter and with the shelter's trainer, and there was a lot of back and forth communication, because it is an adoption that is very far away and you cannot take any chances. You really have to find the perfect fit, and Daphne has been doing so well with Joya that we didn't want anything, to spoil that stability and that balance she has in her life. So we decided on Jeanette, who has been living in the shelter practically her entire life. She was a baby when she was rescued, and she's 2 years old now. And that's how we ended up traveling to Chicago with 2 rescue dogs. After a long trip, we finally arrived. The dogs arrived perfectly fine. All of us very exhausted, but also very excited. And the families were there at the airport. George's rescuer, George Zahar, was of course there at the airport. We were all very, very exhausted. The dogs went home. We went to a hotel. We had the opportunity to enjoy the city for a couple of days. Maybe the first day was complete and utter jet lag. And apart from the jet lag, it was all those emotions and that anxiety, and that the first day in Chicago was nothing but a big, huge
And take me away from here. I don't wanna spend another year stupid and insincere. Never again will I be struck with fear. I don't believe it anyway. This time
Chicago is beautiful. I was really excited to be there. The people were amazing. We let the dogs feel at home and relax for a few days, and then of course we visited both of them. First we visited with George on Sunday.
That's it.
I'll keep going for a while.
Guess who's there?
You see?
Who's this?
You see me? Oh, we're not here to take you back. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. Isn't it very funny when he's happy?
Oh yeah. George! Bravo, George!
He's not happy at all.
He's so happy.
Oh, Georgie, Georgie.
What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? Finally home. You gotta miss him, don't you?
So everyone was there, and his rescuer was again there, George Zaharov. We talked a lot. We walked George. We spoiled him a bit. We chatted. We had a very good time. We took a lot of photos. He lives in a beautiful home in a beautiful neighborhood with 2 beautiful people that I can't thank enough. It was really like, I don't know, the epitome of the American dream. This is a dog that came from a very bad life, abandoned up on a mountain somewhere in the middle of nowhere in Greece, and his life has been going, better and better and better since that first day he bumped into George Zahar. And then the next day, Monday, of course, we visited the 2 girls. I finally got to see Daphne.
From Athens to Aurora, Illinois. Hi. Come on in.
Oh my God.
Hi, honey.
Well, so hello, Lila.
She's so friendly.
Hello, Lila.
I had met and filmed Daphne when she was just a puppy at the shelters. She was rescued with 4 of her siblings. They were all mangy and hungry and really very sad. And then they recovered. So Joey had seen that video, that before after, with the puppies, and she chose Daphne mainly because she looked like the ugliest one. We don't really call puppies ugly, but when we rescuers or adopters say ugly, what we mean is that it is the one that will not get all the attention. So I hadn't seen her in over a year and a year and a half, and I was so excited. She's gorgeous. She wouldn't let me touch her. There was Jeanette, only 3 days in her new home. Very happy, very relaxed. She's an amazing dog. She was lying in her bed. The girls are already friends. You can tell that they really like each other, and it was a very good, it was an excellent choice. I think that they met and they clicked and they suddenly became friends. So we talked, we walked the girls. We had a great time with Joya, who I finally got to meet after all that talking and all that communication back and forth, and I hope we meet one day, and it's finally happened, and we were there. We've been back for a couple of days now, and looking back, it feels like it was a dream. I don't know. I was so anxious about the whole thing, and everything turned out to be perfect, and I'm so grateful. It's really nice being there. It's really nice being connected, with people from different cultures, different nationalities, different countries, and somehow the dogs they bring us together, and suddenly it's as if we have something in common that we wouldn't. I mean, I would never have had bumped into all those amazing people if it wasn't for those amazing dogs. And usually in situations like these, what normally happens is that realization of how small the world really is, and how connected we all are if we want to, and if we want to focus on the positive. So my plans for next year is to rehome my dog to San Francisco, because really is one of my go-to places, so I really have to go to San Francisco. I'm joking, that was a joke. Anyway, that was it, in case you were wondering. Thank you so much for watching this, if you did, and you'll be seeing more about each dog in, their individual videos.